Hello, everybody. Welcome to our final installment of our R4 zone panels, and we are ending it off on a high note with our admin zone. So again, if you haven't seen any of these videos, the purpose of this is to help with elections and the election process and any questions that you may have, because hopefully you know by now, one, that our applications are open and they are closing in about a week, and two, the whole election is going to happen at National Convention. So hopefully you know these things, but if not, now you do, so you're welcome. So to get this started, let's just start with introductions of everybody. Shelby, since you're first on my screen right now, we'll just start with you.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm Shelby Prater, and I currently serve as the R4 Chairperson Emeritus.
And then Malik.
Let's just go and rank. Whichever you can go.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Banks, and I am your 2018-2019 Region 4 Chairperson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Malik Hughes. I currently serve as your R4 Vice Chairperson.
And then Karen.
It's not me.
Oh, just kidding. Sorry.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mario Webb. I'm serving as the R4 Secretary.
Y'all can just go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Hubbard, and I serve you as your Region 4 Treasurer.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christopher Lee, and I serve as your Region 4 Programs Chair.
Hey, everyone. My name is Jay Sharma, and I serve as your Region 4 Parliamentarian.
Okay, cool. So to remind the viewers, or to let the viewers know, if y'all do have questions, please interact with us in the live chat under the video. I am watching to see any questions that you may have. So anytime during the video, please feel free to ask. I will ask them for the panelists so that you can have your questions answered right along with mine. So our first question that I have right now is, panelists, what does your position entail? In any way.
Okay, well, since we did rank for introductions, I guess we'll go rank in terms of responsibilities. So as Region 4 Chair, the biggest thing that I do is I act as representative for Region 4 in terms of the membership, as well as the Region 4 Executive Board to the National Board. So anytime that there's a decision that needs to be made on the national level, I am supposed to take on the voice and the concerns of the membership in Region 4, as well as the Region 4 executive leadership team, to be able to effectively make that decisions in terms of the direction of the overall society for my year.
Okay.
As Vice Chair, your main duties are to pretty much act as like a board manager. You are in charge of, making sure that the regional directive, set by the chair actually has a plan in motion, and you're kind of following through with different activities that's going on throughout the year. Also, kind of you're the head of the membership zone, so you're also kind of making sure that the initiatives from the membership's perspective is also getting served. So you kind of coordinate a lot of different activities and a lot of the campaigns and things like that. That's through the membership zone. I guess those would be like the two main jobs. But of course, there's always other things behind the scenes. So.
Hi again, everybody. So for the secretary, I oversee the comm zone. So the website, social media, that's all under me. I also keep track of minutes during meetings, just documenting everything that's been said, just so we can keep record for future use. And when you guys go to the Fall Regional Conference, the guidebook app, I'm the one who updates that and gives you push notifications to make sure you all are up to date on what's going on at the conference. And that's just some of the things that I do as the secretary.
Hey, everyone. This is your treasurer. Without quoting the bylaws directly, I am the manager of the regional budget, and I work side by side with the the budget owner, who is the chair, and I work to make sure that our funds are allocated properly and making sure that all of our values as a region are reflected in our finances and our decisions.
Hi, as the programs chair, I'm responsible for sitting over the program zone and making sure that all of our initiatives, as far as engineering diversity, pre-collegiate initiatives, academic excellence, um, and Torch are all fulfilled, as well as making sure that our regional leadership conference goes well with the help of everyone in my zone. Um, yeah.
What's up, everybody? It's a parliamentarian. My main duty is to be a liaison between the regional executive board and the Region 4 Senate, and that includes getting everybody up to date and knowledgeable about national elections, regional elections, and any amendments. I also work close with the regional chair and the regional vice chair to make sure that we're doing our operations according to our documents, and that we're following parliamentary procedure.
Hey, everybody. So this is Chair Meredith again. Really, Mara.
I think you're breaking up.
Okay. We'll come back to Shelby on that. You back?
The board and around
All right. Okay. So for everyone on the panel, so why did you choose to run or apply for your position? Kevin, we'll start with you.
Y'all are so petty. Okay. So why did I choose to run? Without boring everyone, I chose to run simply because I felt like my skills and the passion I had for NSBE could be utilized to further the mission. Um, it also helped that my predecessor, Shelby Prater, did a great job of showcasing what I felt like it meant to be a chair. I got the chance to see her get elected, and my chapter, we voted for her when she was being elected, and so I was able to kind of have a few preliminary conversations with her even then about what it would take to become chair, and continue to talk to her, talk to a few other people throughout the year, such as Danielle Render, 2016, 2017 chair, about her experience, and really just immerse myself in what it took to ultimately run and then be elected as Region 4 chair.
Are we still going in order?
And if you want to, yeah.
That works.
All right, so the reason why I decided to run for vice chair was one, because I wanted to be able to be in a position where I had more responsibilities or a greater responsibility and impact to serve the membership. Plus, I felt like I had prior experience by serving on the board last year that, kind of seeing where we struggled and what areas where we could have improved. So I wanted to be in a position where I can try to be able to improve on those areas to serve the membership. The other reason was just more of a personal. I wanted some more personal growth. I knew that, I would have to be able to work with a brand new team, and also, like I said, just having a greater impact of all the different decisions that we make on a regular basis. So that was the main reasons why I decided to.
I decided to run because find a need, fill a need. So after the annual convention last year, I saw that there was an open position and we were not able to successfully fill it on the REB. And being president of Ohio State's chapter, I wanted to progress upward, and I saw the REB as an opportunity for that. And since there was a need for someone to become a secretary, I felt as though that would be a great opportunity for myself to broaden my skill sets and also to help our region complete a board. So really, those were my reasons for taking on this opportunity.
Why did I run? So many things to say. I will say at the least, I really wanted to challenge myself and apply my passion for NSBE on a larger level, and being on REB was a perfect opportunity. And at the time, there were a lot of people that saw a lot of leadership potential in me that I didn't yet see, but I'm really glad that I listened to them and pushed myself to be treasurer, and here I am.
Kevin actually nominated me last year at National Convention from the floor, so he saw some leadership potential in me. I definitely have a great deal of passion for the organization, so after he nominated me and saw the potential, I ran with the position and just really talked to everyone that I could to understand the position and felt that I could fulfill it well.
I decided to apply for the Region 4 parliamentarian position because I saw it was a position that wasn't getting a lot of maybe emphasis, and I thought that seeing as how some amendments weren't passing and business wasn't being conducted as an organization, there's a lack of effectiveness that NSBE is experiencing. So I wanted to help close that gap, but I also wanted to increase my ability to plan strategically and work with people from different schools and think long-term for NSBE.
Show that enough if you want to answer this one, but
so for those of you who are not familiar with how this works, I did not run for this position or apply for it. Region 4 is a special region in that after the previous chairperson completes their term, they're almost automatically considered for the position of chairperson emeritus. It's more of a tradition and less a governance thing, so that's just kind of how I'm here. So just a fun fact.
So we already have 2 questions. So I'll forego my questions and answer those again. If you do want your questions answered, please just put in the chat. I am watching the whole time. So the first question is, how does your position directly serve the membership? Right. No. Mr. Banks.
Man, I'm gonna need my executive board to step it up, but I guess I'll go first. So how does my position directly serve the membership? Well, immediately, right? Like, I am the voice of the people. So the same way we have elected officials that are the voice of us as everyday citizens, I am the voice for members in Region 4, whether they be NSBE Junior or collegiate, sometimes even professional, depending on what the topic is. So that's the direct, immediate service that I have to the membership. The sort of behind the scenes service that not a lot of people may necessarily be aware of is it's my job to make sure that any business decisions that are made directly benefit Region 4, right, as it relates to the overall society's business. And so, if there's a topic of discussion about, hey, can we get a new vendor for our website? Well, it's my job and the Region 4 Executive Board's job to be thinking, okay, how does getting a new website benefit our membership? Does it allow them to be able to interface with us better? Does it allow them to be able to get requests to us faster? Those are different things that we have to think about as Region 4 Executive Board members, and what I have to think about exclusively as Region 4 Chair.
I'll go next. Yeah, I'll go next. So, kind of as I mentioned before, being vice chair, you're in charge of the membership zone. So, it's kind of your responsibility to know all of the data and as far as like numbers, like what is in our region, what's going on, like how does our membership look demographically. So you also should be kind of aware of kind of the membership's experience and overall experience as being NSBE members. Kind of gauge how that experience is, and if there's any concerns or any problems, then you should be able to take that information back to the executive board, and you guys should be able to make decisions to, you know, improve those initiatives. Also, like I kind of said before, we're in charge of making sure that the national membership zone initiatives are followed through. So a lot of the different campaigns and recruitment strategies that we kind of pub throughout the year, we kind of want to make sure that we're communicating all of that information to you guys and encouraging you guys to help us get our numbers up.
I'll go next. As parliamentarian, I don't have, I'd say, a direct impact with the membership. However, I am kind of like almost like a middleman in terms of educating the people in our membership, specifically the chapter senators and the chapter parliamentarians. So in doing that, I'm helping general chapter members and Region 4 members learn more about the society and how changes that are being discussed today can possibly help them in the future. For example, if there's an amendment that's being talked about for last year and this year, being able to educate the senators this year about it can potentially benefit the membership in the years to come.
I'll go next. As treasurer, I would say that finances always have a direct impact on the membership, whether that's uplifting you guys through scholastic achievement and scholarships, or making sure that you guys have the financial means to fulfill your accommodations and travel for chapter relief. You can't really do much without money, but of course, every component is just as important as the next. But that's how I would say finances directly impact membership.
I would say that programs impact the membership just in terms of giving direction to the programs chairs at chapters so they know what types of events they should be putting on. And as far as conference, really almost everything that goes on from the various competitions that you see to PCI programming, programs along with the FRC chair and CPC really make that show happen. And just during the year, handling awards for chapters as well and recognizing people. So our impact to the region is just making sure that they know what they should be doing and recognizing them for that.
As secretary, I impact the region as the leader of the comm zone through communication, making sure the region is aware of what's going on and what's up and coming, especially for FRCs, making sure we get that information out to you guys as soon as we can so you guys can get registered or you guys know the prices and you guys can communicate that to your membership. And also just with us running social media and running the website, making sure we can create a central hub for the region to go to get resources or to figure out who their REB is, how to get in contact with us, and just making sure that you guys can come out to us and assess us when you need it. We don't want to distance ourselves just because we are on the REB. We want to make sure you guys can get the information you need. So, for example, for those of you who weren't able to make it to the conferences and didn't see the functionals that we presented, you can go online and get access to that information to see what you missed. So that's some of the ways that I've impacted the region so far.
If you haven't noticed, guys, like every position impacts the region.
Yeah. We're all okay. So I'm getting a lot of questions from the viewers. This is really nice. Please come through with more. We love them. We don't have anything to do, so we're going to answer questions for you. So the next one is, what has been the most rewarding and the most challenging part of your role? And anyone.
I'll definitely go first with that one. The most challenging was not having any prior regional board experience. As someone that was a chapter vice president the year I was elected, that was the biggest thing that I was concerned about. I'm sure if you talk to any of the advisors or anyone that was on the REB last year that saw me get elected, they thought about that as well. I mean, it's it's something worth noting that someone that doesn't necessarily have REB experience before, may have some difficulties getting brought up to speed. But I definitely relished that challenge of having to learn such a dynamic position and a dynamic role in such a short period of time. And so that is one aspect of my role that has been rewarding. But I would say the other aspect that has been even more rewarding is seeing the growth of the organization in a real time aspect. And what I mean by that is, being that I sit on two boards, so I, run Region 4's board, but then sit on a national board, I get to see directly how a decision made on the national level trickles down to the regional level, which ultimately trickles down to the chapters. And I kind of get a sense for how long that period of time takes for decision making to implementation. And that is something that's really cool because it's very business like in that aspect. For those of you that don't know, being on regional or national leadership, NSBE is a business. And so if you don't look at it from a business standpoint, you're really going to miss the really best parts about being in leadership in NSBE. And so I really, really find it rewarding to see the business aspect of the organization and how things, shift from one level to the other.
I can go next. I'd say the most challenging part of the parliamentarian position is not having a direct predecessor. So last year, we didn't have a complete parliamentarian for the entire year. And so for me, figuring out what to do this year, like when I should be doing things and how I should be doing things was difficult. And one thing that's helped me is Shelby, because she was parliamentarian at one point, and the advisors. So that's another, I guess, probably also the most rewarding part of this experience. Is being around such motivated individuals and seeing them grow. It's truly an honor to see, to be able to call my board, my family, my friends. It's really rewarding to be able to work with them every day and make an impact for an organization that I love.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question, and I like this one, so prepare. Can you pinpoint a moment in your current role when you've made a direct impact or change in someone's life in NSBE or in a process in NSBE, regional or chapter level? And I can repeat that. Yeah.
This is Karen. So at FRC, as an REB member, there were a lot of fires that I had to put out just to make sure that things were running smoothly. And as I was doing my casual speed walking from one hallway to the next, I was stopped by one of the chapter treasurers. And he let me know that he missed the functional, but he wanted to let me know that he was so thankful for my emails that I send out. So I tried to place a lot of emphasis on making sure that I'm present. And he drew so much inspiration from the personal emails that I send out. So for those who don't know, when I read the monthly reports, I always respond in an email specific to what they said. And this specific member was saying that he needed some encouragement and upliftment. And I just offered him everything that he needed. I was like, if you need anything, give me a call. If you need to pray, I got you. And he was just like, wow, you're a real human. And I was like, yes, that's right. You should talk to the REB. And I was just so happy to see how inspired he was just by attending FRC, and that encouraged me to stay in his major. And NSBE also did the same for me a couple years ago when I was attending, and I was like, I don't think engineering's for me. But after attending a NSBE annual convention and an FRC, I was very encouraged afterwards. So that was nice.
My experience was also at FRC. It wasn't a collegiate student though; it was the kids. So I got the opportunity to run most of our pre-collegiate initiatives, like mini conference at FRC this year. So in doing so, I emceed different events that we had. For me, the favorite event that we did was the panel. Originally, it was only planned to be, I want to say it was blocked for an hour long, but then none of the panelists that we had signed up actually showed up. So just went outside, grabbed, thankfully a lot of people from my chapter were there, and a couple people from the board, and then just made really a great panel. The students got incredibly engaged to the point where, because there was nothing in the room after, we stayed there um, long after, just answering their questions about what college life was like. So then to hear them afterwards thank us for that was definitely for me like what I felt to be one of the more impactful things I saw.
I'll jump in and I'll answer that. So the moment that was most rewarding for me on the chapter level in NSBE was seeing a young man that like saw me as a role model when I was doing Project Lead the Way in high school, make his college decision because he knew I was at the university that I was at. And so like he saw enough of the right things in me to say, hey, well, I'm just gonna fully base where I spend the next 4 to 5 years of my life in terms of college based off where I know you are, because I know you're doing great things. And he would, go on to be my little brother on campus, and got him into NSBE, and now he's at the top of the food chain in terms of NSBE leadership. I would say on the regional level, a moment that was most impactful, or one that I saw a great impact from, um, was FRC, and in particular, closing banquet. So when S. Dot got up and he gave the speech that he gave, and Jarrett Butler, our FRC chair, our phenomenal FRC chair, gave the closing speech that he gave, to see the crowd's reaction and to see the pride that Region 4's membership had because of how phenomenal FRC was and what an incredible time we all had together, that was a moment for me that was really impactful to me. So like, I know the question was like, when was, it possibly impactful to somebody else? But I think that was the moment that it really resonated with me, that like, yeah, like, this is why we do this, because I was nervous going into FRC. I wasn't sure about, how I would do, whether or not I would put on a good face, whether or not the membership would receive, the things that we had to do or I was doing. But that was a moment for me where it was like, this is why you do it, and everything's all good. So that was a great moment for me and for the region.
All right. Shelby is having some technical difficulties, so she might not pop up again. But she did want to let y'all know that she is here for support, really, for the REB and for the membership. So she's here to just make sure that everything is running smoothly, to be kind of like another advisor for us on the REB. So we thank her for that. Okay, but for the next question, on average, how much time do you spend on NSBE business, and how do you balance your role with your academics?
I can answer.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
In the first semester, it was definitely a lot more time, especially with Fall Regional Conference. It was also getting a lot more information to our chapters. So I can't really think of an exact like hours per week, but it was definitely more time in the fall since lightened up. But as far as balance, I think, like, especially with your classwork, once you are in a position like this, at least I personally feel like you get better at time management, just because it forces you to do like your work when you have that free time. So I personally feel when I'm more busy that I'm better at time management, and when I have more free time, I procrastinate more. But that's like to each their own scenario. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I would echo what Chris said about having like more kind of a commitment to NSBE being translating to like a better academic performance. So last semester was my best semester in all my years being a collegiate student, and I think like Chris said, like before conference, you're spending a lot of time on calls. You have to get your presentations done. You have to make deadlines, and so it can be a bit stressful at times. However, it's never been to the point where I've like lost control of my academic performance. For me, that's always been number one. And I wanted to make sure that we're students first, and I think everybody in the organization knows that. But we need to get stuff done. And I'd say since the fall semester, my workload's been pretty consistent, and that's just getting stuff ready for annual convention. But I'd say on average per week, I spend about 5 to 10 hours working or thinking about NSBE and ways to improve our operations.
Yeah, let me keep it real with y'all. Because we're admin zone, right? So, like, really, you're looking at the leaders of the R4 membership, right? And so, being on this board, it really is kind of like a part-time job. I would say 5 to 10 hours a week is really a good estimate of how much time you could, project to spend doing NSBE business. And you got to understand that this is a business at the end of the day. So you're going to learn a lot, but there is a lot of responsibilities that you have to handle, and you have to be proactive with things. So I would just strongly suggest that if you're going to consider joining this board, that you have time to commit, because this is a volunteer organization and we love what we do, and we do it to improve the membership's experience. So just kind of make sure your values are there before you join the board.
And I'll piggyback off that. So, like, balance wise, I cannot go a day without scheduling my life down to almost every single minute. Just because it doesn't work for me to have free time on my hands. Because as a student, I feel like I got a million and one things to be doing. And then as, RAB leader, there's a million and two things that I could be doing at any given time. So balance wise, like, I have to schedule in when I'm going to work on scholarship essays. I have to, figure out when am I going to set up time to review meeting minutes prior to the next REB call. There's just so many things that you just have to schedule. And so, like, good time management skills, if you don't have them before you join the REB, you're either going to get them while on the REB, or you're not going to get it at all, and your grades are going to suffer. So that's the balance part. In terms of the time, I'm going to be even more honest than Malik just was. Admin zone, we probably spend about 10 to 15 hours a week on the lowest of keys. And some weeks are worse than others. Like FRC season, FRC season, we're spending 20 hours easy. Just because as zone leaders, like, we have to make sure not only that our zone is together, but like the things that we want to do are together as well. That's like the craziest part about being a zone lead in NSBE, especially at the regional level, is like, not only are you a team member, but you're a team manager within a overall bigger team. And so there's a lot of things that go unnoticed about being an admin zone that, we don't necessarily talk about outside of admin zone, because it's like, that's not necessarily worth broadcasting, but it's an incredibly rewarding experience. I forget who said it, but NSBE is one of the best leadership development organizations on the face of the planet. And so if you want to take yourself to the next level professionally and leadership wise, like, being in NSBE on the REB, no matter what position you are, is going to help you get there. But admin zone is going to give you that plus a little bit more.
And I just want to say, although several of us have said this is a part-time job, realize we're college students as well. We're just like the rest of y'all. We were able to get through it. Don't get me wrong. We had some hiccups at the start, especially me. I wasn't expecting some of these meetings to be as long as they were. This is my first time on the REB. But rest assured, I got my stuff together and realized how I needed to go about my business in order to get stuff done. Stop putting off assignments on Sundays, especially when we had calls during FRC season. But you learn as you go. Is you don't have to come in with the best organizational skills or think that you need the best organizational skills to get on the REB. Just like Kevin said, if you don't have it, you will develop it. And it's a great way to just build yourself up in order to take on more professional roles later on.
I just want to slide in real quick about the time portion. Throughout my term and even still now, I was having some health conflicts, and it definitely challenged my ability to do time management, to not only manage the things that I want to do, but the things that I have to do. So I thought I had good time management before I joined the board, but it definitely pushed me to my limit. And I have learned so much before even graduating. Some people don't even learn really diligent time management skills until they graduate. And I think something that's super beneficial about being on the REB is you learn a lot of things that you would typically learn in, like, in a corporate setting, but you're learning it by doing what you love. And like for me, that's NSBE. So yeah, I had some hiccups throughout the year. I had surgery. I had like doctor's appointments. I was like dying all the time, and I did it. So if I did it, you can do it. I believe in you.
Okay. So the next two questions I'm going to combine because they kind of involve the same things. What advice would you give for your position's eventual successor? That's one. And two, have you ever gotten or given advice to other regional leaders in other regions about your position? And if so, what was it?
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah. So, one, what advice would you give your eventual successor? And two, have you ever gotten or given advice to other regional leaders in other regions about your position? And
Can I go? I'll go first. Yeah. So an advice I would give someone who wants to run for secretary, if you want to go above and beyond and prepping for it, start thinking about how you would market different things or different programs that you saw in the region. So FRC, RLC, how would you like to communicate certain information to the region to make sure they're aware and knowledgeable of what's going on? Because the sooner you can come up with that marketing plan, the sooner you can start executing on that. And that was something that I didn't come onto the board with. I realized I needed to come up with that plan later on. And when later on came, I didn't have enough time to do the ideas I wanted to do. So it was kind of a scramble. So if you can just think of the different programs and initiatives that NSBE has and how you would market that, that would go above and beyond in preparation for this position.
I can go next. Two pieces of advice I would give to my successor is make time for things that take time and learn to listen. As parliamentarian, you're not always the most vocal typically in meetings. And that's good for me because I like to listen and I don't like to talk as much. So being able to sit in a meeting and analyze how people are reacting to certain things and figuring out ways to make a meeting more effective is how I can do my job better. And just being very observant is something that will help you as a parliamentarian. And then things that I've done to help other, I guess, regional parliamentarians is every time I have an idea, I talk to the other regional parliamentarians. Anytime I make a presentation or I have kind of like an insider question about the national kind of structure of NSBE, I bring it to everyone else and I make sure that I'm not the only one thinking things. And if I am, I'm making sure I explain things the right way and I vocalize how I'm feeling or where I'm coming from. And I always be sure to give feedback because feedback is incredibly important at this level of NSBE, and being able to talk to other leaders and let them know what they're doing great, what they should be continuing, and ways to improve is something that goes a long way outside of NSBE and outside of engineering school.
Let me get a question in. I think one quick tip that I would say is just really learn how to effectively communicate, especially virtually, because we do a lot of our business virtually. We only meet face-to-face a few times a year. So really learn how to, communicate well online and through, using different apps online to communicate. So that's what I would say for vice chair, definitely.
I'll go next. So for chair, oh my God, there's so many things. Whoever is watching this, if you end up being my successor, like we gonna have detailed one-on-ones week after week. But one piece of advice I would say is don't try to be like any other regional chair. Be your own chair. make the position your own, and be comfortable in your own skin. I can't speak to any other position. I'll only speak about mine. That regional chair is the most dynamic position I've ever been in my life, because there are so many areas you're responsible for, and there are so many areas that you can be of benefit and of value, that it can almost be overwhelming, because you may want to spend time working on this particular thing, but this other thing requires your time and energy. So that can be a little stressful. So I would say hone in on what areas you want to be the most impactful, and be excellent in those areas. You don't have to be perfect in all of them, but be excellent in the areas that you can be in. And I will say that for the advice piece for other regional leaders, so we actually this year had one regional chair that had to vacate his position. So his vice chair had to step up. And so it was nice to be able to share my wisdom from me being a first time chair to someone that was like a first time chair mid term, and to be able to help that individual, bring themselves up to speed a little bit more quickly than I, was brought up to speed during my time.
Okay. We do have another question, and Kevin, this is specifically to you, so you're welcome. Kevin, how has your board helped you to excel as the face of the region, and advisors too? So how did the board and your advisors help you?
Well, see, that question, that, not to be disrespectful, but like that question is almost inappropriate, considering I'm just the figurehead, but I don't do anything without everybody else's input. So, I mean, I'll answer it the way it was asked, but like, to be respectful, like, I can't be successful without the REB. I can't be successful without the RAB. So I just want to put that out there. But I would say, the regional board that I have, the people that were elected as well as the people that were appointed were the best people for the job this year, flat out. The advisors are some of the most knowledgeable, impactful, and like no nonsense advisors that I've ever met. And so to be able to have them in my corner, I think Region 4 has the most former national chairs on its advisory board with 3. And so, that wealth of knowledge, that wealth of understanding and information, and that wealth of execution is unprecedented. And so I'm very grateful to have such a phenomenal team behind me for them to be able to help me be successful, so I can help them be successful, so we can help the membership be successful, is ultimately like the most rewarding part of this job as Region 4 chair.
All right. So thank you, viewers, for asking all these questions. You can definitely come with more. Again, I'm watching and we'll keep answering them. But since I have none right now, so in your position for your successors, what leadership skills do you think, or what skills do you think are necessary for your position?
Communication is definitely one of the most important skills for being on the board. Just in terms of communicating with the rest of the board, you have to be able to, like, with the people if you're in the admin zone, with each other, setting the goal and the vision. And then for communicating with the rest of your zone, I would say communication is the most important skill.
I would also say being open-minded to new ideas. You're not going to know what to do all the time, and it's going to be good to just get opinions from other people, and just to see things from their perspective, and listen to what they have to say. Just like we said earlier, this is a business, so the REB isn't ran like the chapter executive boards. There's a lot more money involved. There's a lot more at stake. And I don't know how many of you all actually have experience in running a conference of a magnitude like FRC, but that can be a new experience for a lot of people. And you may think this is the best thing since sliced bread, but when you actually go to implement it or hear the ideas from the advisors, you're going to find the different holes in whatever system you have planned or whatever idea you have. But you can't really take all that to heart. You have to understand that this is a learning experience for you, and you're just going to have to take take each experience and just take note of what happened and what you need to do, what you need to fix.
I can answer that. I would say learn how to, like Damari said, like take feedback and learn how to be wrong almost. There's been a lot of times where I thought I knew the regional documents, I thought I knew the bylaws, I thought I knew everything. And then I found out I don't. And the advisors are very quick to help us with that. And there's been times where you have to sit in a meeting, and if you're done with your part, as parliamentarian, you have to pay attention to everything, because you never know when a motion will come up and you never know what can happen. And you can do your best to anticipate it and kind of analyze what we're going to be discussing, but you still have to be ready to think on your feet and be able to present at any point. And so that'd be the biggest like kind of qualities I say a parliamentarian should encompass, is learn how to think on your feet and learn how to listen and be wrong and take feedback.
Alandra, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. What skills do you think are necessary for your position, for your successors?
Shoot, you got to be a good listener. You got to be a phenomenal delegator. That's something I'm still learning how to do. You need to be a good co-manager with your vice chair. You need to be a strategic thinker, critical thinker, quick on your feet, decisive when necessary, patient, understanding. Dang, you just need all the fruits of the spirit, honestly. You need love, temperance, all of that. So if you don't know what the fruits of the spirit is, go crack open your Bible.
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.
Okay. So I'm gonna keep rolling until someone asks some more questions. Next question is, how did you prepare for the election or the application process?
If nobody wants to go first, I'll go. So
I can go second.
I'll go third.
Call dibs. But so I prepared by just reaching out to the previous chair, Shelby Frater, just to get her ideas on what she wanted from the secretary, how she felt as though the position could be improved. I wanted to pick her mind on it just so I can get a better idea of what I should focus on when I come into this position. But one thing I neglected to do was reach out to the person who actually held the position. So I recommend to you all to reach out to Kevin, but also reach out to me just so you can get different perspectives on the different issues that this position has.
One thing I did to prepare for this position was reach out to Shelby, because I know she was a chair and she's been a parliamentarian before. And so she was like my direct contact. But I've also reached out to, I think, 2 other regional parliamentarians, or like previous regional parliamentarians. And then I reached out to 2 previous national parliamentarians just to understand my role. And I spent a lot of time just talking, looking at different presentations that I could find online about what does it mean to be a parliamentarian. I spent a lot of time like researching Robert Rules of Order. But ultimately it came down to like me trusting in myself and having confidence that, okay, here's my interview date. This is my platform. This is what I want to achieve. And these are the steps I'm going to take to achieve them. And so preparing, it really starts with a conversation. Reach out to anybody on the board. It would be in your best interest to reach out to your position holder. However, I think advice and help can come from anybody on the board.
For me, I did most of the things that everyone else was mentioning. Something else that I really valued was advice from other regions. So at the time when I was doing my research, I actually emailed all 6 regional treasurers and pretty much asking the same questions, and then scheduled calls with them just to talk about how they navigated their terms. And I think that hearing different leadership styles and different ways of financial stewardship was very, very beneficial, on top of speaking to the current RED.
So Karen spoke out of turn, but I'm gonna ignore that. So I'm like Karen. So I started fairly early. So I started talking to the Region 4 treasurer, then the Region 4 vice. Shelby and I talked pretty consistently, but then I also talked to her predecessor, Danielle, quite a bit. And I jokingly say Danielle was like my chief of staff because she helped me kind of think through the process of like my platform for elections, and like she also like helped me write my speech and things like that. So that was really fun. What I'll also say though is if you are thinking about running, like find you a buddy, because around FRC time, Karen and I were starting to like talk to one another a little bit more frequently. And so how she just mentioned that she reached out to the regional treasurers the year that she was planning to run, she encouraged me to reach out to the other regional chairs to get that information. So if you know someone that's running, like buddy up and share ideas on how you all can get prepared. Because that's only going to help you be that much more thorough when it comes time to show us what you're made of. Well, show the membership, not us, because they elect you, not we.
I mean, I'm curious. Okay. Okay, so next question is, how was the transition from the chapter executive board to the regional executive board? You can answer.
Okay, I'll
it was a
go.
little. Oh, okay.
No. That's all you, Mr. Secretary.
Okay, so I guess I'll go. I'll say it was rough at first, just because the REB is really serious about Robert's Rules of Order, and I've used it previously, but it wasn't as intense as it is currently used. So that took some adjusting, and just realizing that there's a lot that I didn't know or understand about NSBE, trying to get used to that idea. Just because I've served on my chapter's executive board for about 3 years, and I just assumed everything was going to be similar to that. But coming to the REB, it was like, okay, this is different. The meetings are ran differently. I don't get to see the people that I'm talking with all the time. Sometimes it's just phone calls, or the in-person meetings are few and far between. And the people that you're impacting, you don't really get to see. So it's different than me going to my bi-weekly meetings at Ohio State and seeing the membership, whereas I'm impacting the membership via social media, via the website, via email. And it was just a different perspective that I was getting from NSBE. It was just adjusting to that and trying to find value in that, because I'm someone who really valued the connections that I made with my chapter. And it's like, okay, I'm impacting everybody, but you may not see it personally, but you have to understand that what you're doing is impactful.
So for me, the transition was it was big. That jump from chapter vice president to regional chair was huge, and the hardest thing about the transition for me was no longer being someone that could get away with doing everything. You know, as a chapter vice president, you're the board manager. Sometimes like you get the dirty work done. And as regional chair, I did not have that bandwidth to be able to do that, and I didn't understand that very early on. And it wasn't until I want to say July, August that I really started to understand that like I definitely can't do everything because I have so many responsibilities to so many other things that like I cannot be involved in every decision that's made day to day. So the transition was tough, but it got easier. There are times where I still relapse and I want to have my hands in small things, but you know that comes with the territory. When you love what you're doing and you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to get your hands dirty every once in a while. But it's been rewarding, and the transition has been good.
Jay, did you still want to go?
Yeah, I can go. I'd say the biggest thing is assessing the knowledge gap of things that you don't know. I went from chapter senator to regional parliamentarian, so it's still kind of the same realm. However, they're completely different in the sense that you have to know so much as parliamentarian. You have to know almost what every zone does, what every position does, and its relation to the bigger picture. And that's something that I didn't have much experience with being on Purdue's e-board. Even though I helped out with different e-board positions, I didn't fully understand how kind of complex everything is and how important everything is. And so the learning curve is very steep. I think the first 2 months, I learned so much about NSBE that it kind of just blew my mind. And my mind, like I was really just learning everything. Why do we have a retention program? Why do we do this program? Why do we set goals 20 to 25 years in advance? And having these conversations really opened my mind. And even though it was very difficult to kind of process everything, I was so interested in NSBE and in my position that I just kept looking for more information. And we have access to the information and the data of the past regional executive board. So every time I have free time, I would just go in there and look at all the information from different years that wasn't even relevant anymore, but I still learned from it. And that's something that on the chapter area board you don't have to do. And something on the chapter level, like especially the senator, you really get your time to shine at annual convention. And if you don't do your job, like people know. However, as regional parliamentarian, you have to be on the ball kind of consistently so that there is no problem at annual convention and that the society is progressing forward and we're not, experiencing these little hiccups along the way.
Okay. So we got another question from the viewers. And this is to everyone but Kevin. So go it balanced out. So to the R4 admin zone members, in what ways have you strategically supported your R4 chair in his leadership endeavors? And how would you measure your impact on the overall R4 REB on a scale of 1 to 10? There you go.
That's a good question. Shout out to whoever asked that question, yo.
Alandra, can you repeat the first half?
Yeah. So, in what ways have you strategically supported your R4 chair in his leadership endeavors? Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a fire question. Oh my God. All right. I guess I'll try to answer that. So I'd say I help Kevin assess his leadership endeavors kind of often. Anytime I think of something, I immediately text him. Anytime I have an idea, I run it past him. And even sometimes after one of our REB meetings, I'll call him and be like, yo, here's what went well, here's what didn't go well. And me, Kevin, and Malik will sometimes talk, the three of us, about ways to carry out the next kind of few weeks at a time of the board, what we should be focusing on, what are things that, because they have a lot more hands-on kind of tasks with the REB, whereas mine, I kind of just sit back and observe and try to help as much as I can. So that gives me the liberty to understand what's going on. And so I get to bring that to Kevin and say, hey, here's something that isn't getting enough attention. Let's try to address that. Or, hey, this is something that is a big issue in NSBE at the national level. Let's try to bring that to Region 4. And so I'll always kind of make way and make kind of like a template for something that needs to be done, and I'll give it to Kevin. And I'll let him, assess if it's something that we need to do. Anytime he needs help, I'm there to help him. And in terms of the second part of the question, I'd say helping the entire rest of the regional board. I don't know. That's a difficult question. I don't know if I can put a number to it or like quantify it, but I think I've definitely made an impact on the rest of the regional executive board.
I guess I'll go next. But since I take minutes for a lot of our meetings, I remember a lot of the stuff that's been said. And there's been some certain times where we would have discussions later on, and we're trying to figure out what was agreed upon. And just because I wrote the minutes, I can easily assess that information, or I just have it in the back of my mind. So I kind of make sure that we don't backtrack or focus on things that we've already discussed. It doesn't really make sense for us to go back into discussing a topic that we already have settled, and we can move on and just focus on how we're going to implement it. And just, I'm just someone who works in the background of things, so I like to observe. So I pretty much just observe how the board operates and just try to give my 2 cents here and there on how I feel as though things should be. So just trying to make sure I give my perspective every now and then. But my impact on the board, I would have to say, no, just because I'm feeling myself, I'll say 12. No, but
Bro, wasn't it 1 out of 10?
I know what it said, but
He said he was feeling himself.
I said I was feeling myself. But I'll be honest, I can't really remember all the stuff that I did last semester. But when it comes to FRC season, pretty much everybody on the board is doing what they can to ease the stress of everyone on the board. So although I can't really think of a good example right now, but we've all have done our fair share of helping each other. I just FRCs. For FRC, I was one of the guys running around the background. When people said that they didn't have something, I was the one who was going around trying to help them get whatever they needed. So when you guys thought everything was going smooth, I was the one who was smiling, making it seem like everything was nice, but I was panicking in my head because I needed to do X, Y, Z so this event can go as planned. But all in all, we all help contribute to lessen the stress of each other.
Yeah, I would just have to echo Mario. I think there's definitely, looking back, things that we could have done more, especially the turn's not over yet, so there's still things that we can do. I'm not gonna say 12. I don't know. I'm gonna say like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. I think that I definitely like fulfilled the job to what it is in terms of its bylaws. I definitely think that there is still room to improve the position. And I definitely think that as the year goes on, we could definitely try to get out toolkits to the region. I definitely think that we can try to institute a couple more programs as far as engineering diversity and letting our membership know about the resources that they have in the region, as far as connecting with NSBE for professionals and bridging that gap. So there's definitely more work to do, but definitely think that looking back at the position that really fulfilled it, um, you know, at a I think I did a good job.
With the way that I am, I always think that there's room for improvement, and sometimes I do shortchange how amazing I am. But I would give myself an 8 out of 10 because I think there are a lot of areas where I still have growth and some things that slip through the cracks that, of course, I would like to go revisit. But with the time that is left in my term, that'll be something that I pass on to my successor. But as far as strategically supporting my chair, Kevin mentioned earlier that we talked prior to elections and we kind of got to know each other and each other's leadership styles and passions prior to the election. So I really got a kind of special view of Kevin's mind and the way that he functions. And because I was able to have that kind of perspective, I knew what kind of leadership style he was aiming for, and how he 9 times out of 10 always kind of shortchanges the things that he does. So I think that strategically supporting him throughout the year was honestly like my second job. So like besides being treasurer, supporting him was my second focus, because he's an amazing leader and I do not see him stopping at regional chair. High key, I'm gonna switch to a 9. I'm a 9 out of 10. So there you go.
Kevin, do you want to say anything? You got words? Okay, just want to make sure. So we are.
What you want me to answer? How do I support myself? By taking naps.
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong at all. We are rounding to the end of this, but I'll give y'all like a last attempt to ask these questions before we end it off. So, analysts, what's your favorite thing about your position?
Oh, I got this real quick. Nobody knows what a good parliamentarian is, so I kind of get to make my own pace. It's pretty dope. And especially in recent years, or I guess just last year, there was no parliamentarian, so I don't have like something to compare myself to, which is detrimental in a way. Like I don't know if I'm doing good or bad, but from feedback from like the national board and from my advisors, I know that they say I'm doing amazing work, and like all the compliments I get for the things that I do, it like really kind of drills home that like yeah, I'm doing a good job. And so being the parliamentarian, like you're in admin zone technically, but you're not there per the bylaws. You're not in an actual zone, so I get to float around, and I don't have like somebody constantly checking up on me. And unless I want to, I can be like, yo, check up on this, see if I do this. And I tell Kevin, like, here's what I'm working on. But I don't have to kind of stay at a very structured thing. I work at my own pace, and I get to schedule when I want to do things. So that's the best thing about being a parliamentarian.
One thing I like about being the secretary is my engagement with NSBE members that aren't at Ohio State, just being able to interact with them, engage them, see what issues they have, and just have certain dialogues with them, then see them later on and just be able to follow up with them and just fostering these different relationships. It's just really nice being able to like engage with others and just being able to engage with the people on this board, seeing how things are ran at different schools and just building my network, building my friendships. It's been a great experience being a secretary on this board.
For me, it's definitely the membership. That's number one. Number two is the REB and the NEB, and then third is RAB and NAB. Just the society of NSBE is just phenomenal. Being able to interact with NSBE in any capacity is just great. So.
Okay, if there is no more questions, which I do not see as I'm glancing down for the last time. And I have no more questions, so thank y'all for watching our final installment of our panel. Just some last notes. One, if the panelists can give out contact information so that any viewers can contact them, especially if they have any more questions that they did not get a chance to ask or just didn't want to ask on the panel. So just give out your information real quick.
So I can be reached at r4chair@nesbe.org. And I know no one else has put out their phone number. I'm going to do it because I have faith in y'all. So my number is 312-618-5418. If you have any questions, text me, call me. Just make sure you let me know that you got my number from the Zone panel.
I could be reached at r4parliamentarian@nesbe.org. It's a long word. You might misspell it. Sometimes I misspell it. You could go to the website and find out how to spell it. But yeah, you can feel free to email me. I'm mad quick with emails. I'm better than emails and text or anything else. So I'm more than happy to help.
You can reach me at r4secretary@nesbe.org.
You can reach your treasurer at r4treasurer@nesbe.org.
Hey, you can reach me at this is Chris. You can reach me at r4programs@nesbe.org or at _chef_Chris_ on the gram.
You goofy.
I can you add me on LinkedIn.
Or you can reach me Christopher Lee on LinkedIn. I might be hard to find, no, very common name.
Yeah, go ahead, plug y'all. Okay, and then last thing, our application for our RLC and FRC close on the 15th. And when does the actual one close?
Everything else closes on March 1st. All the elected positions close on March 1st, and the appointed positions close on March 22nd.
Check your emails, check your social media. We posted that information. Check the website.
Yeah, apply. Let's get y'all in the mix.
So thank thank y'all for watching. You have our contacts, so please hit us up. We do want to help y'all get into our positions. But otherwise, good night, and thank y'all for watching. Thank you, panelists.
Bye.
Thank you,
Good night,
Alondra,
y'all.
for being such a great host.